Hey everyone, how's it going out there? Welcome. Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Tutorial Tuesday. We are starting a bit earlier today, as advertised yesterday, but we want to make sure we have time for everyone's questions. So we will be going through some of the basics with an expert here, C.S. Murphy, who uses OBS regularly with some amazing 3D and virtual reality art and all sorts of cool animations and characters. Hey everyone, Yassine, first one in today. Nice job. Lindsay, hello. Karen, Bishop, Matt, Sid. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Let's get you up here. CS, welcome. Thank you so much for your time today. You are the resident OBS to broadcast studio guru. So thank you for making some time to assist the community with your expertise.
Yeah, thanks for having me again, man. It's always a pleasure to instill some knowledge into those that want to learn about OBS and all that stuff. So yeah, what's going on, everybody? I see a lot of people saying hello. Hi.
Hey, awesome. Hey, let us know where you're joining from if you're tuning in today. I see Sid would like tutoring with quadratic equations. That is a different tutorial for a different day. So what is OBS, CS? Let's start there. What is OBS? Yeah. Why would people want to use it with the broadcast studio for desktop here on Happs?
Well, it just adds a production quality to what you already do. So, I mean, if you have, the knack for creating graphics and you want to create almost like a pre-post production kind of thing while your stream is going on. More pre-production, post-production is afterwards, right? But yeah, it just allows you to do like cool things like in the background right there and putting it behind there. Of course, you need a green screen to kind of chroma key yourself out of the environment that you're in, but you're able to do some really interesting things like route different types of signals into OBS and just flash graphics and things like that, and creating different scenes. And yeah, that's why
I love your background there alone. It sounds like it gives you, as an artist, right, and as a professional, some really nice tools to take your content to the next level.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you have like I said, a knack for creating graphics and lower third, bumper stuff, all that, it's a wonderful program, and it's also it's called open broadcast software, and the reason why it's called open is because it's wide open for you to do whatever it is that you want to it. It's an empty vessel. What you do with OBS from individual to individual and streamers is much different than just from person to person, in other words. So, yeah.
Right. It sounds like it gives you a lot of customization and tailoring. So one thing I'll note that is on our product roadmap is to have, a seamless integration for a custom RTMP input into the broadcast studio. What that means in English is that it'll be a lot easier to use OBS directly with the broadcast studio. What we've built and what our broadcast studio on Google Chrome is really all about is creating a really streamlined way to have some of the tools of OBS at your fingertips that are very simple and really effective. But what's nice is that having this integration allows professionals like yourself to really get some nice extra tools like your background. Like, let's just pause and check that out, everyone. I'm gonna allow some time for oohing and awing here because I love it. I wonder how you did that. I mean, maybe we can just start there. How did you get that awesome background to work?
Yeah, great question. I have a background in 2D, 3D character design and animation. So this was kind of easy. This isn't like animating characters. This is just like moving icons around and pivoting them around a center point and rotating them. It's all done in After Effects and Photoshop. If you guys are familiar with the Creative Cloud, basically it's just using all of those apps within the software suite to create what's behind me here. And it's also a mixture of like like watercolor dyes and things. I found a bunch of really interesting stuff. So when it first starts, when it blooms, you'll see right here like all these like kind of water spills and things happening. Those are all layer effects that you know just put on top of each other to create like this, you know, detailed and dynamic composition that you see behind me. So all done in the Adobe Creative Suite using After Effects and Photoshop.
Yeah, I love it. So that is essentially a video file that you've created through various layers and animations using Adobe products.
Right. That's right.
Got
That's right. And then through OBS, you just plug it into the background and you put your camera in the foreground, and that's it. It's very simple, actually. A lot of people are scared about OBS and they're kind of intimidated by it because the interface is a little daunting, but there's only like 5 sections that you need to learn and just a couple of things. You know, a lot of people are asking me about, you know, software keys and like, oh, do I need a stream key for this? How do I plug, you know, OBS into Happs? And if you're talking about that already, then you're already way ahead of the curve because it's just plug and play at that point, you know? So stream keys were like a complete mystery. Like a stream key, I had to like get a flashlight or something and look through the internet for the stream key to find the connection part to go into OBS. Right. And like I always thought of it to be this vast like Indiana Jones crusade into connectivity, but it's nothing like that whatsoever.
Yeah, well, it certainly looks spiffy, and we have a number of people commenting here saying, you know, what is OBS? Why should I use it? In a nutshell, you know, why do you use OBS, and how long did it take to get it figured out? You know, you have some veteran knowledge here. I think since day one, you've been, you know, playing around with this and experimenting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I wanted to get into OBS because, well, firstly, I remember maybe 4 years or so, I started seeing people integrating live streaming into Facebook, like Facebook Live. And I remember seeing an artist on there, and he had this like really cool, like bottom third graphic that came out, and his name was like, I think Andrew Jones or something. And it was like 3D animator, and then it like goes back in. I'm like, that's so cool. How did he do that? So I hit him up and I'm like,
right.
What did you do to do that? Because I mean, I'm just using my phone. And I'm like, how do you do that to your phone? And he's like, no, I used a web camera. I'm like, wait, you did this on your computer? And just started really just fact finding about it. And, you know, just, you know, to answer your question in long form, I want to look spiffy. I want to look neat. You know, I like presentation, and I also like creating good content. So it was just natural for me to kind of gravitate towards something that would elevate my live streams to look a little bit more professional. So.
Absolutely. And for those, just to clarify a few things. So OBS is a separate software that is distinct from Happs Broadcast Studio, but it's complementary to it and allows folks to have those amazing background graphics, for example, like CS has behind him there. And one reason why we called CS today and said, hey, can you help us with our Tutorial Tuesday, is we were getting a lot of questions via email and in the comments about OBS integration into the studio. And frankly, yours stood out, and a lot of people were mentioning, you got to check out how CS is using OBS. And so we had a really fun talk last week. I guess it was last Tuesday, about a week ago. We got to see behind the scenes at how you're able to put some of this together and your whole setup. And I would love for you to just walk people through, step by step, your home setup, and as kind of best practices from your ancestral knowledge after a month on Happs using OBS.
Ancestral knowledge. I'm glad I wore my wizard beard for
exactly.
Basically, let me just open up this. This might kind of like freak you guys out, but I'm just going to open up this main page here that kind of cascades into this like infinite mirror thing. But this is OBS right here in front of me.
I'll put you full screen. Hold on one second.
Yeah, sure thing.
You deserve it. Okay.
Cool. So hopefully everybody can see all this like fine print at the bottom. When I mentioned the 5 important sections for you guys to learn about OBS, it's the bottom 5 here. The bottom left here is what's called your scene area, and you have your sources to the right of that. Okay. And basically, before I even go any further, I'm going to explain what those two are. Scenes are just basically a collection of sources, if you will. So a scene will give you a scene that looks like this, for example, like different ways to kind of go back and forth between full screen and, weird stuff like that if you want to get creative with it. So,
what?
Yeah,
Whoa,
what
go
was
back
that?
there. Is that you in
Actually,
real life?
I actually have a twin, and we're completely like synchronized together. We've tried to go out of sync, but it's been impossible. So, anyways,
So
yeah. So all of these scenes, I was just basically clicking down here. You can't see it when I click it because it goes off the scene here, but I'm basically going through all 6 of these main scenes that go through basically what I do when I live stream and I want to create value and entertainment. And above that, I have like my headset revealer, the things that I do for, my own countdown, for example, with my logo in there, flashing in there throughout, just some like weird epileptic. Sorry if you guys have
trigger warning.
Trigger warning about epilepsy. Sorry about that. Didn't mind to go through there and just kind of send you guys on a visual frenzy there. But basically, each scene is an encapsulation of these various sources. And the sources are things from like a microphone to a graphic that I had behind me at the beginning of this, which was just one MOV file, and then my GoPro, which is right here filming me. So that scene is made up of only 2 sources. But I have these sources over here because, this source right here is very busy because I have things like Media Monday. So if I have like Monday coming up and I'm doing stuff in VR, I'll set that up. Or I'll have like, 2D Tuesday today, so I'll make a graphic for that. And all of these things that you see in the sources are just that, my Instagram, bloop, this comes out like that,
What?
So, yeah, so there's all these really, really cool ways to kind of, express yourself and set up like a very, high production quality live stream. But to the third part in the middle here, and the reason why you're seeing this value every time I talk is that's my Rode mic. And this is your audio mixer. So everything from like the Happs glitch logo and everything, it all has its own mixer output. So if the sound effect to that glitch bumper is too loud, I can move that independently with one of these sliders that it's associated with. So we have the scenes, we have the sources, we have the mixer, which will mix all of those sources if there's audio involved with those MOV files. And then you have your streaming and your settings over here. Which allow you to kind of set things up in a certain way. So if I click on settings, this is where we're talking about stream keys and everything. And right off the bat, you guys are working on an RTMP, which we'll be able to use eventually with OBS here. But I'm not doing that right now. I'm actually using a virtual camera, which is right here, that's tied. It's a plugin for OBS, and you have to download it and install it into OBS. It doesn't come native when you install OBS, so you need that to run the OBS software. Now, the thing is, in regards to the audio and how I'm getting audio into the mic, that's actually independent of OBS right now because the RM or RTMP hasn't been implemented. And when you guys do that, the audio will go along for the ride, and all we will have to do at that point is put in the stream address and the key associated with that, and then boom, we're going. But not to scare you even more, but I also use this piece of gear. It's a virtual mixer called Voice Meter.
Wow.
And yeah, Voice Meter allows me to independently volumes here. The 2 volumes to the left here are like my Oculus Rift headset mic that are associated. I have.
Did you just turn your volume down? Because I'm hearing you suddenly softer. Wonder if that's related to the mixer.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that to my attention.
Oh, got it.
There we go. Yeah. So this is your virtual mixer.
All right out there?
Yeah. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm thinking everybody can hear me still. But we're setting up audio through Happs using this voice meter because we're using virtual cam or just OBS cam to get just the video in. If you look down, let me see if I can actually get my OBS or my Happs going here and hide this. So at the bottom here, we're all familiar with this. If you're on your desktop and you're setting up your audio and your video, if you have a Logic webcam, of course, you'll select that because that's your main camera that people will view you with. But in OBS's case, we're using the virtual camera or the OBS camera. I find that there's less of a glitching frame rate with the virtual camera, the OBS virtual camera. So I select that, but then Happs is asking us what are default input sources for audio. And shout out to SwiftBeats again, because he told me about Voicemeeter, and Voicemeeter is actually recognized by Happs. So we use Voicemeeter in this case to get audio into our computer, or into Happs, I'm sorry. It's already in our computer. And I'd be more than willing to kind of go through that with you guys as well if you're a little confused as to how to get all the volumes individuated into the mixer, so that you can say, if you're doing a live stream and no one can hear you because your Spotify is really loud, you could just lower your Spotify and just, keep your mic volume where it is independently. So anybody have any questions so far? Am I going a little too fast? Am I making sense?
Let's slow down, or actually let's go back a little bit and just
Sure.
talk about, some of the fundamentals of how you start. Let's say folks viewing, including myself, I don't have OBS downloaded even, I've never used it. I've only used the broadcast studio. How would I get started? I'm seeing so much on screen, right? All these different camera views and mic settings and the mixer. It looks great, but let's take it step by step here. This is a little bit of an advanced tutorial, so to speak, right? Compared to some of the other ones we've done, there's a lot of moving parts here. And getting a question from Chantal: is this on Mac?
No, it's on a Windows machine, actually.
It's on a Windows machine. There you go. So Yassine's fielding questions. Thank you. Familiar with your setup there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I broke it down yesterday. I had a little like a powwow, just a quick little brief on what I was going to go through tomorrow. So Yassim got the briefing.
Perfect. No,
shout out to Donald for giving people the link to OBS. That's where you can go right there to actually download the software. Just look up Open Broadcast Software or OBS. Thanks for doing that, Don. But yeah, you download that and you just install it. If you guys have installed applications before, it's a no-brainer. It takes you through this wizard. You open up the program. Make sure you have a virtual camera installed as a plugin. You can find it in the same spot. And then it's just all about kind of making these sources kind of play in a way that works for your production. So you're mentioning like cameras and everything. If you want, it can go into like, a scene here and add, say, another camera to this scene. So over here, we have our sources right in the second column. This little plus button right here at the bottom.
Can you zoom in on that by any chance?
I can't, unfortunately. Yeah, the only thing, I wish I had my Zoom software. I don't have that. But at the bottom of the sources window here, this small rectangular window, there's a plus button. And if you press that, you're given the options for all of the available sources that you can put on there, like a video capture, a window capture, a display capture. I have two 4K monitors, so I have the ability to select one and project that behind me. Right now, that's what's going on behind me, is that fish that I did in 3D. You have an image slideshow, you have images, you also have game capture. So that's great for gamers if they just want to present what is on that game and nothing else. The advantage to that is that the game capture will just show the game that's going on. So if you get like an email or something, or you get like a, that won't pop up. Just the game will be recognized. However, if you're using something like a display capture, it's going to show everything that's on that one particular display. So that's the difference between the two, because there's game capture and display capture, and some people will be like, well, what's the difference between those two? So I thought I would put that there. And you can also use browsers too. If you click browser, I can put the Happs browser in there and stick the comments on the right side and crop it together so everybody can see the comments, on the right side of the screen as well. But if we want to actually, with all that said, let's actually just add really simply a video capture device, which is one of my my cameras here. So if I click it right here, video capture device, it'll ask me, okay, well, you want to create a video capture device. What's the name of this, right? And at the bottom here, I have something that says add existing, and it has my C930, which is that one up there. And then I have my GoPro. But if, you're new to OBS, this is going to be completely blank. So you want to create a new camera source, right? So you go in there and you name it, just double click on it and call it like C930, whatever the name of your camera is. If you have multiple ones, it's probably a good idea to have, those names on each source. Otherwise, you're going to get confused as to which camera is which. But in this case, I'm not going to add a new one because I only have 2 cameras, and bring it down. You just click and drag that somewhere. And now you can have that source anywhere that you want, and it's looking a little, disheveled right now because I have chroma key on and some green screen stuff happening. So my monitor is a little weird. You can see my head through the monitor there for a second, So anyways, these are just, sources. If I wanted to add, like an image source or something, I'm working on a scene right here. I have a whole bunch of other things. An image source is where you would upload, say, like a PNG file or a JPEG or just a static image behind you. So again, you would just go into the plus sign here and go into create and select image source. And I have a whole bunch of these already set up. So, if I want like Media Monday, for example, I would click on that. And then all of a sudden this image would come in. And because it's a PNG file, it has something called lossless transparency. So you're not going to see that white background in there. It's just the graphics. And I can put this over here and then use this scaling technique here to kind of just bring that into place and call that a day, So there's actually accidentally too. So there's a padlock on the right part of all the sources here. So it's a good idea to actually lock those down once you have, like, say, Media Monday in place and you don't want to accidentally move it. You can just lock that in place and now you can click it.
So just to summarize kind of what you've been going through for the last couple minutes, so you're able to add in different camera inputs as well as upload and have selected various graphics and images to bring in on screen and organize pretty much however you want, huh?
Right, exactly. And there's really cool ways to trigger that. Not to go too far ahead, but I mean, everyone's familiar with hotkeys, Control-C, Control-V, or what? Copy and paste, right? So
copy and paste.
In our settings section, we can actually use hotkeys to change between the scenes. So instead of like coming up here with a mouse click and physically, going in here and going, okay, this one, and then okay, this one, and okay, this one, and it gets laborious. Whereas you can have your fingers on one. What's that?
I said trippy.
Yeah, it's trippy.
So many CSs on one screen.
That's me, Trips McGee over here. Yeah, but if I hit the settings right at the bottom here, there's a hotkey section, and not to intimidate you, but the more settings you have, like the longer the list gets. But as long as you know your production well, you can go in here and actually assign shortcuts to various numbers on the keyboard, which is pretty neat. And that will actually trigger off. So if I hit 1 or 2, this will change, 3, 4, 5. But also, like when I'm live streaming and I'm doing the sculpting, for example, I'm standing up and I'm in VR. So it's like, how am I going to do this? And I actually figured out a really cool thing because I have a background in music and MIDI and keyboards and just, all that gobbledygook. I figured out how to take a controller pedal like this and put it on the ground. So anytime I want to change a parameter, I just hit like the 2, for example. Hold on a second here. They're hard to hit. Maybe I have to punch it now. Hold on a second.
So it's kind of like a foot pedal.
Yeah, it's a foot pedal, and it requires a little bit of MIDI here. Let me just start that for a second, and then... Yeah, there we go. It's made for your foot, so it's made to take an impact. But every time I press it, it goes through all of the scenes that I just gone through. Anyways, you get the idea. So it's basically a remote control for all of your scenes, so you don't have to do it manually with your hands, especially, if you're, you have 2 controllers in them like I do when I'm streaming, or if I'm, drawing, your hands are full. So it's nice to have the feet there and just kind of press on it and not know that not giving the people the impression that you're switching those. Because I have a producer, obviously, over to the corner.
Yeah.
That does all this for me.
Well, this is amazing, man. So much gadgetry to create a really elegant, seamless, high value content here. I'm wondering, Yassine had a question about how do you set up your green screen? Is that what I see off screen behind you there set up this time too?
Oh yeah, I have to media. Let me see. Let me get that feed out of the way here. This one, right? Yeah. So what's going on here is that, let me just go to I'll just go to this one. If I right click on the GoPro source here, which is the camera here, there are these filters at the very bottom. There's properties and then there's filters. Filters are things that you can actually add as effects to the video feed that's going on, right?
Right.
So as soon as I click on this, I don't know if you guys can see that, right? There's another window of me.
Yep.
This is the actual GoPro feed. And in the effects filters category here, I have a series of things going on here. I have crop and pad, which if I turn that off, you'll see that everything just kind of just shows my room in a way. But it also keeps the green screen kind of composited because I haven't turned chroma key off yet. So as soon as I turn that off, all of a sudden it's like, oh, here we go. The magic is undone.
Whoa! Yeah. I feel like the emperor has no clothes now. What happened there? So this is you in real life. I don't even know what's real anymore. I don't know.
In fact, I'm not even C.S. Murphy. I'm actually I'm Pablo. I'm just kidding.
Oh man, I feel like that scene in The Matrix where you see the real life behind the charade. So very cool.
Mm-hmm. Or it's the little guy at the end of The Wizard of Oz there,
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, these are all literally just things that you're adding to your video to composite out the chroma key or the green screen with chroma key, and then finally just padding everything and getting rid of everything. So like the corner, for example, if I took this video from my GoPro and I move this over ever so slightly, you'll start to see, like if I grab Control and Shift, I think is the hotkey to actually do the cropping, because you can crop in there or you can crop manually this way too. And I'm just a stickler for detail. I can see like in the top corner here that I can see the back wall there.
Oh yeah, you don't want that.
You don't want that. I crop it in place, I do that. And then I just go back into my GoPro thing here under filters where you can add all of these amazing things and just treat the video and the audio and crop it. Apply LUTs as well, because this is what my video actually looks like coming out of the GoPro. And then there's like these things called LUTs, L-U-Ts, which basically change the color quality of your composition. There's mask backgrounds. I was trying weird things like just the severed head, just trying
that's pretty close. Mm-hmm.
But it didn't work, And then of course like sharpening, so if you look at the Hollywood, California on my shirt, it's a little blurred out there. So there's a sharpen filter as well that'll help kind of make everything a little bit more brilliant. But all of these different effects together create this harmonious kind of output for the video and make it a little bit better than what it is right here, because this is everything off.
Okay.
Right? Then it's just composited. So we turn that on, we crop everything, we apply the lit so it's a little bit better, and a little bit of color correction.
Yeah, it looks phenomenal. Man, I love this, getting to see kind of under the hood here what's really going on.
Yeah, and lighting is important as well. Sometimes when you're hitting chroma key, 9 times out of 10, chroma key works really well. So as soon as you turn the filter on, like 97% of your green screen just goes bye-bye. But then you get this haloing effect where you can actually still see the green around the edges of your body. So it's always good to kind of like look at things like when you're actually troubleshooting it, to like look at the edge of the shirt and make sure that that is just a no thing. There's no green anywhere. And if there is, it's reflecting off of my skin, and I just have no filter for that currently. But,
right. Quick question from Daniel, an amazing reporter who covers breaking stories often overnight in New York City. If you guys haven't subscribed to Daniel, go check it out. He's on the scene of hostage situations, some crazy accidents, crimes. He is a hardcore journalist out there on the streets, and he's really curious about how he could implement OBS in a way to really put together his own kind of show, which could maybe highlight or wrap up some of his breaking on scene reporting, so you can provide some more analysis and things like that. So what sort of computer do you need for this? That's what he's asking there. How can he get started?
I don't have a very fast computer. My computer is a little over 4 years old right now, and it's a gaming computer, a game-ready computer that has, if you know about hardware specs, I'll just give them to you. My computer is an i7 Intel chip with 32 gigs of RAM with a GTX 1070 graphics card. That should do you just fine, because what I'm doing with it right now is really taxing, but I'm doing it in kind of an intelligent way because I know how to parse, just allocated, strongholds, if you want to call it that, as far as computer processing. So the reason why I said all that is because I'd like to draw your attention to one thing in this broadcast software here, and it has something to do with your graphics card. So as long as you have like a NVIDIA graphics card, what you can do with OBS is actually put all of the processing, the graphics and everything to the NVIDIA graphics card as opposed to your own CPU. And that's huge, because that way your computer isn't processing everything under the sun. Because I've got my computer going on, I have two 4K monitors, I have two virtual reality headsets connected to it. So that's taxing all the plugs and everything. So you want to make sure that if you have all that stuff connected, that you're using it in an intelligent way. And OBS did something really cool with the output section here. If you go into, unfortunately, I'm streaming right now, and if I hit stop virtual camera, you're not going to see me. But in here, there's an encoder section within the output of your settings here. So if you click on settings, I'll do it again. Down in the bottom, or in the right here, there is something called settings. And you can only change them when you're not streaming, but we're streaming right now, so I can't exactly change them all, but I'll show you where they are. Inside of output right here, you'll see an encoder section, and it's normally just like H.264, and that's it. It's basically saying, oh, it's encoding it to be this, QuickTime algorithm for output. But OBS did something really cool with NVIDIA where you can actually use the graphics card. So right now it says NVIDIA encoder H.264. And when you change it to that encoder, that NVIDIA encoder, it's going to take everything that you're doing in OBS and put it on the graphics card's shoulders and not your CPUs. And that's huge. It's huge because it allows your computer to run Happs effortlessly, rather than also piggybacking everything that's going on with OBS, within Voicemeeter, which we haven't gone into yet, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. The encoder section is huge when you want to do something that is robust and has a lot of graphics. And if you're working with 1920 by 1080p, you want to make sure that everything is streaming and not bottlenecking when you're using this software. So in the output, in the encoder, NVIDIA encoder H.264 is a really good selection here in the encoder section, and it'll take a huge load off of your CPU performance. I hope that answered your question as well.
Yeah. So what other questions are out there? Feel free to ask them in the comments here. Mm-hmm. We'll be on for a bit longer today. We wanted to allow plenty of time, since this is a pretty intensive tutorial. CS is our guest lecturer, so to speak. Go ahead and subscribe to him if you're just joining. He is walking us through how OBS is best set up to integrate with our broadcast studio tools. So just a reminder, you do not need OBS to use the broadcast studio here. But what's cool is that it's pretty seamless. So if we want, I can actually still use some of, the tools of the studio here and play around with things on screen on top of all the layers and everything else that CS has already done. So add some extra, versatility to your tool set, so to speak.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I will get back off screen here so we can see CS's better. But I could bring on, the no problema and all that. So for now, I will minimize that stuff so we can better see your screen here. But looking at the comments, what have we figured out about how to get a decent audio output? So that's a good question, Michelle. I'm wondering if you have any tips specific to audio. I know that we had a couple tips specifically about how to bring in to the studio these audio and video inputs. Could you walk us through that specifically?
Yeah. Earlier, and like you were mentioning, you guys are getting the RTMP established, which is huge to actually make this even more seamless. But we kind of have to take an extra step at the moment until that happens and introduce what's called a virtual mixer. From the Mac standpoint, just to get that out of the way, we're not going to talk about Mac too much, but I know that there's something called Soundflower. We discussed this on my stream last night when I was doing audio checks and everything. I think Yasim asked about what we can use as an audio solution for Happs in that respect. And I believe that Soundflower will do the same thing that I'm about to go into right now for the Windows side of things. So if you guys aren't familiar with this is an amazing piece of hardware software, and hopefully you guys can see this. Okay, I'm just going to move this over here so you can see this a little bit better. Can you guys see that whole thing? Because I'm not sure if I'm capturing everything there. That's all there?
So yeah. I can see the full audio mixer, yep.
Okay, cool. So this might look daunting, and I'll be honest with you, I have 20 years in audio engineering and mixing and actually touching physical mixing boards, and when I saw this, it was daunting to me as well. So I feel you. Let's just get that out of the way, okay? But we're going to get that nervous bug right out of the way, okay? Because
you can do this too. Everyone watching,
you can do this too. Yes, you can do this. A mixer is nothing more than a single channel of something repeated multiple times. What you put in those channels are completely different. It could be a microphone, it could be a guitar. In a mixer's case, a live mixer, when you're going out to see a band, the snare drum, all the little parts of the drums have different mics on them, and they also have their individual channels. So it looks super, super busy, but when you master the one section here, let me bring your attention to this part right here. Hopefully you can see this. My apologies if things are a little small for you guys, but this very first channel right here that I'm going to illuminate right here, it might get a little weird as far as the volume. This is my Rift S mic right here, but this is just one channel, okay? And once you learn what the audibility and the weird kind of like, as you can see if I'm like talking right here, you can probably hear my voice modulating through like a series of different, frequency bandwidths from low to high here. All this other stuff. Once you memorize one channel, it's the same thing across the board, okay? So these first 5 right here are known as your hardware inputs, okay? These first 5 big wide channels right here, okay? Now, hardware inputs are something that you use when you're actually plugging in something to your computer. So I have a USB mic. So this USB mic is hardwired, boom, right into the backside of my computer via USB. So that becomes an audio channel to set as an input here, which is right here, my Realtek, or I'm sorry, yeah. I'm talking about my Rift S, not my Rode, I'm sorry. This is my Rode mic in the middle. Only one that's kind of right here that I can change the volume on. Okay, so the hardware stuff is for physical stuff, okay? The 3 in the middle right here are your virtual inputs. This is stuff like all of your app outputs. Notice that there's like a Google Chrome logo in here, there's an OBS logo, and there's another app's logo right here. That's basically telling me that all of the audio from those apps are being put into here, into this channel. You guys probably can't hear me right now. Can you hear me? Or can you not? Can you hear me? So when I'm bringing it down, can you still hear me right now?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. So this is your overall input that you're kind of throwing into the mixer to the right here that's independent of your mic, okay? Because your mic is on channel 3 here. All of your system information is coming from this B1 channel right here, okay? B1, B2, and B3, okay? So you have hardware, which are your first 5, which are for mics, guitars, sound cards, whatever. And these middle 3 right here with the OBS logo in the middle are for your apps. And we'll get into how to set up the audio in there in just a second, because this is the key to getting this done correctly. So before I actually go any further, I'm going to go into my sound settings here and just show you how to route this correctly, because as soon as you install Voicemeeter, it's called Voicemeeter Potato. They have really funny names. There's Voicemeeter, Voicemeeter Banana, and Voicemeeter. And I actually need, 5 hardware inputs for what I'm doing on Happs, so I chose Voicemeeter Potato. I would suggest getting it anyways because it's just a better mixer, and it gives you options to plug more things in the future. But once you install
Swift
Sorry?
Beats told you about? Sorry, is that the one that Swift Beats shared?
Yeah, exactly. Voice meter is exactly what he told me about, and I've been embracing since he told me about it.
Nice.
For sure. But the way you actually set it up, because once you download it and you install it and you open it up for the first time, it's not going to be ready to go. So over in the top right here, you're going to see right above this like tape deck, there is a hardware output thing right here. Okay. And there's A1, A2, A3, A4, and A5. These are all outputs because once you bring everything into the mixer, right, you need to put it somewhere. Because once you have it in there, it's in there, but you can't do anything with it. We need to tell Happs, hey, this is our audio, and it's coming along with OBS virtual camera, which is our video source, right? So what we need to do at this point is tell the hardware what to output to, and this is where our sound card comes into play. So we need to come in here, and whatever your sound card is, most Windows have like a Realtek high definition audio output, which is your native sound card output. You would select that as your output. So everything's going into voice meter. You're changing the levels of everything structurally. You're making sure that your Spotify's on one channel, your microphone's on another, but then you're spitting that out somewhere. It's got to go somewhere. And if you want to hear it through your speakers, like in your studio, what you would do is set it to your native sound card output. So I select Realtek high definition audio. And if you're a Windows user, you probably do too, unless you have something custom. So I select that, and as soon as I select that, when I start turning on, say, like the A1 here, there's a little bit of feedback because that A1 button that I pressed on top of this channel here is actually giving me that output because I set A1 to be my Realtek speaker output, if that makes sense. So at this point, what we need to do also is to give voice meter
Uh-oh. Did we lose you? I think we may have a connection problem on CES's end here. If you're just joining us, so we are in the middle of a tutorial of how to use OBS and how it integrates with the Happs Broadcast Studio, both which are totally free, independent products. It looks like CS is having some sort of issues with his inputs. I wonder if it was what he was messing around with during the tutorial, but I will ping him and let him know. Yeah. This is one that you'll probably want to watch the replay and be able to check out, in detail some of the steps and tips that CS has been passing along, because I've learned a ton. I'm going to have to watch the replay for sure, and would love to just greet everyone who's joining today in the comments. Thank you so much for checking this out. This is part of our Tutorial Tuesday series. Tomorrow we will be having a really cool broadcaster roundtable for our regular Wednesday programming, featuring a number of artists in our Happs community. So be sure to check that out. That one will be tomorrow at the normal time at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. We got started a little bit earlier today at 3 to be able to get through more content and material than usual here. But hold on just a minute. Let me put this no problema on screen, and I'm going to call CS right now and see what might be going on. So please bear with us here. Thank you so much for your patience, guys. One sec.
connection issue. Are we good? All right.
We're back. The no problema llama is now appropriate. Right. Excellent, excellent. Thank you all for your patience. We were able to get CS back. Any idea what happened there? It looked like suddenly your connection dropped. Uh-oh.
Let me see here. There we go.
Here we
Can you guys
go.
hear me still?
Yep,
Okay.
I can. Can you hear him out there? Hey, Brett. Hi, Saki. Hi, Blaine. Thanks so much for joining,
Okay.
everyone. You'll want to check out this replay.
Sorry about that.
No worries. No worries.
Can you guys hear me all right? We're good?
Yep, I can hear you crystal clear here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's a little confusing, and I might have just dropped the signal because I was going through the menus and stuff like that. But I just wanted to show you guys basically how to get this mixer, once you have everything mixed in, how to get it into Happs, because that's integral. Otherwise, we're doing this for nothing, right? So what you have to do is in your mixer setting here under, I'm just going to change the scene here for a second just so we can see. Okay, so at the bottom here, right above my CS Murphy art here, obviously we have the mic monitor and everything. So under mic monitor, the default that we want, and this is super important, it's called VB Audio Voice Meter VAIO. So that's virtual audio in and out. Okay, and that's important because that's the first output that we are sending this audio to in Voice Meter. Because this, on the very right, these last three faders right here, this is B1, this is B2, and that's B3. The very last three faders are your output. That's where you're sending things, okay? So B1, as you can see right here in the whole mixer here, we have A1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are all our audio outputs that we want to send things. So I always send it out to A1 because that's where my audio output is coming from, the Realtek high definition audio that we were talking about earlier, okay? So once you set this to B1, which is VB Audio Voice Meter VAIO,
Uh-oh. Did we lose him again? I'm not sure what's happening here. I've been on fine this whole time. Hi, Lisa. Hey, Sports for the Blind. So welcome to the tail end of this tutorial. CS Murphy, an amazing VR and 3D artist, is walking us through how he uses OBS here. And it shows me that he's dropped. It looks like the signal got cut, but I see. CS, are you back?
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, there's a little bit of an issue with OBS and Happs in that if I have OBS open and I kind of falter out and I try to get back into Happs, OBS has the camera, so then it fails out on Happs. So I have to turn off OBS and then turn on Happs, restart the broadcast, and then turn this on again.
So it'll be nice when we have that custom RTMP input so that
yes,
you won't have to worry about things like that. So
yeah,
that will be coming. Very excited for that. Hey, Latin Podcast, welcome. Thanks so much for joining us. This is part of our Tutorial Tuesday series with our guest lecturer, CS Murphy, who's showing us how he connects his amazing OBS setup here. And I think we have him. Yeah, it's back now. Great. So you'll want to check out this replay, everyone. We've been going for about 45 or 50 minutes here. Some great tips with how to put together really nice, customized, very branded and cool look, especially since you have so many other really nice logos and animations and all that to really add some pop.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm more than happy to walk people through this now that we have this established. If anybody runs into any problems whatsoever, I'll jump on and I'll walk you through it for sure. Let's get on there and get you up to speed.
That's amazing. That's a very generous offer. Take him up on it. Yeah, I don't think there's better folk here to walk us through this, which is why he's on today. So let's just get through another few questions here. I do want to wrap up, in the next 5 to 10 minutes here. Maybe we can start with, a couple more questions from the audience. Folks who've been on from towards the beginning, what other questions have we not addressed? What do you need to know? Tell us what CS can do here to answer any final questions. CS, will third-party solutions from Blackmagic Design, Telestream, and/or Pro Tools work in conjunction with Happs live streams?
I think so, yeah, because it's just about allocating, and we didn't get into that, and I'd be more than willing to jump into that, but we're in at the end of the tutorial here. Basically, all you have to do is there's an ability to go into Windows and take each and every app and go, I want this app to go into channel 1. I want this app to go to VB Audio 3, like I was mentioning, or VB Aux VIO. These sound like complete gibberish, but it's just B1, 2, and 3, which are your main outputs on that Voicemeeter mixer. And Voicemeeter is very, very it's user friendly. So whatever you plug into it, as long as you know the output of that, you can input it into a channel in Voicemeeter and tame the frequency and just separate it from everything else, for sure.
Great. Another question.
But yeah, it's pretty seamless.
Good. So I will get off screen here. Maybe you want to walk through a couple final things that you haven't gotten to. I don't know if there's a part of your process, CS, that you haven't covered here yet, but now's a good time.
Just really what I wanted to go through as well is that if you right-click on your speaker icon and go into your sound manager in Windows, what I was going to say was that, let's see, where is that? Right here. Open sound settings. Okay, so there's this. Let me just go in here where you can see this. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so if you right-click on the speaker icon in your dock, you'll be presented with your sound settings. Okay, and it's asking right here, well, choose your output. And normally, if I didn't use Voicemeeter and I was just using my regular speaker output, I would use that Realtek high definition audio that I was mentioning. But we're using Voicemeeter, so I want to make sure that the VB Voicemeeter Aux VIO is selected, because that's of everything that's coming out of Voicemeeter is outputting from, which is the, oh, you can't see it. Hold on a second. Sorry. Boom. Here we go. So this is B1 here, which is VIO at the bottom here. I know this sounds like complete gibberish, and it demands a little bit more time and attention, but I just wanted to let you guys know that when you plug in the Voicemeeter mixer, you need to make sure that your input and your output source is set to Voicemeeter, and then there's a sound control panel here that you click on, and when this opens up, whenever my computer wants to, there we go, and you scroll down here, you'll see Voicemeeter right here, and there's a little green check mark because I right-clicked on it and I configured this as the default communications for the audio. And you need to do that. You need to take control away from your native sound card that's on your computer, and you need to give Voicemeeter control, and it's done through this sound setting right here. So I didn't want to leave people in the dark when downloading Voicemeeter Potato and be like, I don't know what's going on, my audio isn't coming out. This took a couple of tutorials to find on YouTube to find out that you need to actually set your recording and your playback, which is accessible via these two tabs at the top of your sound window here. You need to make sure that you scroll all the way down and you go to Voicemeeter output. You just need to right click on it and just go set as default communication device. And that will turn Voicemeeter on as the main mixer. Because now I'm not using, like I mentioned, my high definition output. I'm using this now as my sound source. So if I'm too loud, I bring this down. Can't hear me until I turn this back up. I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not turned those functions on in the sound settings. So I just thought I'd bring that to everyone else's attention as well.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Very cool.
That's all I got for you. If anybody else has any other questions.
We really appreciate your time.
I think I can hear you, Peter.
Can you hear me?
Can anybody else hear Peter, or is that just me?
I hope everyone can hear me. Should be able to. Let's see.
I'm not hearing you, bud.
Let me know if you can hear me out there.
Can everybody else hear Peter and myself, or?
Is there anyone out there? Help. Can you hear us?
I cannot hear you. You can hear Peter.
Okay.
Help, can you hear us? I can hear both of you. That's so funny. Pete, I can't hear you.
You can hear me now.
I think I screwed my
you.
settings up.
I can hear you.
Voice meter output. Oh, I did it.
Any luck? Too many audio settings here.
I got it. That was all me. I'm so sorry.
No worries. No worries at all. So yes, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. I would encourage everyone out there to watch this replay if you want to get a better handle on OBS and how it works and how it integrates with the broadcast studio. So both are free. Highly encourage people to experiment with both of these, and we'll be adding in some more features to interconnect these more seamlessly, including that custom RTMP input into the studio, which is on our list. So thanks everyone for tuning in. Really excited to see so many familiar names and faces in the comments. Looking forward to tomorrow. We're having our broadcaster roundtable, and we'll be with a number of very acclaimed artists similar to CS. So be sure to tune in there. Before we go, be sure to subscribe to CS. Please give him a look. He's got some amazing stuff. CS, when can people see your live art? What's the best time for them to catch you?
Yeah, Mondays and Tuesdays. Monday is Medium Mondays at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So when I go through VR and I sculpt an amazing critter. We did the Happs llama yesterday, which was quite fun. And
Love
then
today, saw that.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's really cool. And Tuesdays, 2D Tuesdays at 2. It's a mouthful, but 2D Tuesdays at 2 p.m. It's where I'm actually drawing on the tablet and all that stuff. We get away from kind of like VR and 3D, and we just go back to the hand-drawn principles of things and create a critter. So Monday and Tuesdays.
Love it. Go check out the replay, especially the Happs llama. Yeah, worth a gander, no doubt. Thanks, everyone. We will see you here tomorrow at 3:30 Pacific time. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much for watching, and have a great evening or morning or whatever time it is, wherever you are out there. And thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thanks again for your time, CS.
For sure.